Alright, so here's my story. I'm Lucas, 37, a pretty regular guy with a plumbing business that I built from the ground up. Not some big-time millionaire, but I do well. My wife, Elena, and I have been married for 10 years, and we have an 8-year-old daughter, Maria, who's my whole world. Marriage wasn't always perfect, but I thought we were solid. Until last month. That's when Elena decided to drop a bomb on me. She sat me down at the kitchen table one night, all nervous, biting her lip like a guilty teenager. I knew something was off, but I never expected what she said next. I've been talking to Ryan again. Ryan. Freaking. Grant. Or as I always called him, bum-blasted Grant, because the dude was a complete clown. He was Elena's ex-fiancé before me, this flashy, arrogant rich guy who thought every woman was in love with him. He used to tell people he was born to seduce, like some kind of low-budget James Bond. I never liked him, and the feeling was mutual. When Elena and I got together, he made it his life's mission to let me know that he could get her back anytime he wanted. And now, here we were. I stared at her, trying to keep my voice calm. What do you mean, talking? Like, friendly talking or stupid talking? She played with the hem of her shirt. Just catching up. He reached out, and we started chatting. He invited me on a trip. Just as friends. I swear, I nearly choked. A trip. To some 5-star resort in Ischia, Italy. With him. I asked, voice dangerously calm. He said it's just a friendly reunion, she rushed out, her voice way too defensive for my liking. Nothing inappropriate, just catching up with old friends. A chance to relax. Yeah, right. Let me be clear, Ryan never just wanted to be friends. This guy had spent years making it his goal to win Elena back. And now she was standing here, actually considering running off on some luxury vacation with him? Elena, I said, gripping the table. Do you really expect me to believe this is innocent? She crossed her arms. You're overreacting, Lucas. Ryan is married now. He's changed. Did his wife invite you? Or just Ryan? Silence. That's when it hit me. She wasn't telling me this to ask for my opinion. She had already made up her mind. She wanted to go. Elena, I said, standing up. If you go, don't expect me to be waiting here like some idiot when you get back. She scoffed. You're being ridiculous. Nothing's even happened. But I knew better. This wasn't about her sleeping with Ryan. It was about her choosing him over me. The moment she said yes to that invitation, she had already betrayed our marriage. So I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't try to stop her. Instead, I made my own plans. Plans she had no idea about. She wanted Italy? Fine. I wanted my freedom. I didn't let on that I was angry right away. No, I took a step back and thought it through. The more I thought about it, the more I realized she wasn't just going on a trip. She was taking a risk with someone who had never cared about our marriage, someone who saw it as a challenge. Ryan had a history of playing dirty. And Elena? She was falling for it. So, I did what any normal guy would do. I started planning my own revenge. The first step was to file for divorce. I wasn't going to wait around for her to come crawling back after getting hurt by him. I wasn't going to sit here, pretending everything was fine, just because she said they weren't doing anything. I didn't want her to have any more control over this situation. And if I'm being honest, the thought of her seeing me move on while she was off with him made me feel a little vindicated. The second part of my plan? It wasn't just about getting revenge, it was about taking back some happiness in my life. So I reached out to my neighbor, Clara. She was this hot, recently single woman who had been going through a nasty divorce of her own. We'd always been friendly, but we'd never crossed any lines. But after everything that went down with Elena, I needed someone. And Clara? She needed a distraction from her own heartbreak. I asked her if she'd be interested in joining me and Maria for a trip to Euro Disney in Paris. I wanted to go to keep my mind busy, but I also wanted to show Elena I could move on with someone else. To my surprise, Clara said yes right away. She'd been to Disney a few times with her ex-husband, and I think the idea of a fresh start appealed to her. The best part? She was stunning. People always took notice of her when we walked around, and that wasn't lost on me. It felt good to be seen again, especially after being ignored by Elena for so long. While Elena was packing her bags for Ischia, Italy, I was getting everything set for Paris. I knew this wasn't about making Elena jealous. Not at first. It was about taking back control of my life and doing something for me. For once, I wasn't going to be the guy sitting here, waiting for her to come home, ready to apologize and pretend like nothing happened. I wasn't sure where things would go with Clara, but I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't waiting around anymore. I wasn't the only one who had a plan, though. Elena's actions were already starting to bite her back in ways she never saw coming. The morning Elena left for Italy, I could barely look her in the eye. She was all packed and ready to go, acting like it was just another vacation. Maria was with her grandma for the weekend, so the house was quiet, and I just watched her, standing at the door, holding her suitcase like nothing was wrong. "Elena," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You've made your choice. Don't expect me to just sit here while you're off with him." She shot me a look, half annoyed, half defensive. "You're being dramatic, Lucas. It's just a trip. I'll be back soon." "Yeah, sure. Don't come back expecting a happy homecoming, though. You're already checked out. If you think for 1 second that this doesn't change things between us, you're mistaken." She opened her mouth to say something, but then just shut it. She knew it was pointless. Deep down, I think she knew I was done. But she wasn't about to admit it to me, not right then. As she walked out the door, I just stood there, watching her. And you know what? I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I just felt relieved. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It hadn't been for a while, and now it was officially over. I was free. Now, with Elena out of the picture, I turned my attention back to Paris. Clara and I flew out a few days later, and the moment we landed, it felt like I was on a different planet. The atmosphere in Paris, the lights, the energy, it was all a fresh start. And Clara? She was like a breath of fresh air. She was fun, spontaneous, and the kind of woman who knew how to enjoy herself. We spent the first few days laughing, riding roller coasters, and just soaking in the sights. Every moment was a small victory. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe again. Like I was in control. But there was a part of me that was still holding on to the idea of revenge. You see, Elena wasn't just in Italy to catch up with her ex-fiancé, she was there to be wooed. I knew Ryan had no intentions of just being friendly. That guy had no problem using his charm to get whatever he wanted, and I wasn't about to let him have his way. So while I was exploring the Eiffel Tower with Clara, I had an idea. If Elena thought her trip was just going to be a harmless getaway, I'd make sure it ended in disaster for her. I reached out to Ryan's wife, Abby, and told her everything. At first, I wasn't sure if Abby would even believe me. I mean, what wife would want to hear that their husband was up to no good with their ex? But surprisingly, she didn't hesitate. Abby was furious. I could feel the anger in her voice when she called me back. "I knew something was off when Ryan told me Elena was coming," she said. "He promised me it was just a friendly reunion, but I know my husband. And I know what he's like with women." I smiled to myself. This was working. Abby was on my side, and I could tell that Ryan was about to get a taste of his own medicine. The next day, as Clara and I strolled through the streets of Paris, enjoying the cafes and the atmosphere, I got the message I'd been waiting for. Abby had confronted Ryan, and she wasn't going to take it lying down. Ryan kicked Elena out of the hotel. The exact hotel I'd seen in the pictures she'd sent me from Italy. I don't know what Abby said to him, but it worked. I guess Ryan didn't want to risk his marriage over some ridiculous fling with Elena, so he made it clear that she wasn't welcome. The best part? Elena, of course, was furious. Abby wasn't even there in person. She just used her words, and they hit Ryan hard. Meanwhile, I was living my best life in Paris, getting closer to Clara, and feeling like I was winning in every way. Elena's world was crumbling, and mine was just starting to take off. It wasn't long before I started getting the texts from Elena. "Lucas, what the hell is wrong with you?" I could practically hear her voice in my head, shrill with anger. I didn't respond right away. I was still taking in the feeling of satisfaction. She had been kicked out of that 5-star resort in Ischia, by Ryan, and now, instead of being surrounded by luxury and attention, she was stranded. It took a few hours, but eventually, she sent another message. "Please, I need to talk. This isn't what it seems. I didn't sleep with him. He's married now. You need to trust me." I almost laughed. Trust her? After everything? No. She had shown me exactly who she was. And right now, I was exactly where I needed to be, free. I finally decided to respond, but I kept it short and to the point. I don't need to hear your excuses. You made your choice. I'm done. The days following that were a blur of laughter, fun, and the kind of carefree energy that only comes when you're finally free of someone who dragged you down for too long. Clara and I started spending more time together, just talking, laughing, and learning about each other. I wasn't looking for anything serious yet, but there was a chemistry between us that I couldn't ignore. Clara had her own scars, having just gotten out of a messy divorce. We didn't have to talk about it to understand each other. We both understood what it felt like to be betrayed. And honestly, that connection made everything we did together even more special. We went on the rides at Euro Disney, tried the worst but most hilarious French food, and had late-night conversations about what had gone wrong in our past relationships. Clara was sweet, funny, and a breath of fresh air in my life. For the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't constantly worried about someone else's happiness. I wasn't pretending everything was fine for the sake of a marriage that had been dead for a while. I was living again. But it didn't take long for Elena's reality to hit her. I remember getting a text from Abby one morning while Clara and I were having breakfast by the Seine. She told me that Elena had been calling Ryan nonstop after she got kicked out, begging him to let her back in the hotel. She even tried to smooth things over, claiming she just wanted a second chance to apologize. Ryan wasn't having it. He refused to let her back in, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. He'd been humiliated in front of his wife, and I'm sure that wasn't something he was willing to forgive. So instead of waiting for things to blow over, Elena was forced to book a last-minute flight home. What really stung her, though? The realization that no one was waiting for her. Not Ryan. Not me. Clara could tell something was going on, and after a couple of days, she asked, "What's going on with Elena? She's still texting you." I nodded. She's in damage control mode, begging me for a second chance. But honestly, it's not about that. She just doesn't want to admit she messed up. Clara raised an eyebrow. And how do you feel about it? I thought for a moment. I feel relieved. Like this weight is finally off my shoulders. I've been pretending for too long, and now I get to finally live for me. That's when Clara smiled, that perfect smile, the one that made everything else fade away for a second. You're a good guy, Lucas. You deserve someone who's gonna appreciate that. It felt good to hear that, especially after everything Elena had put me through. A few days later, I got a call from my lawyer confirming the paperwork for the divorce was being processed. I'd set things in motion before I left for Paris, and now it was official. Elena wasn't the only one who had been humiliated. Ryan had done it for her, sure, but this was my win too. I was finally free to start fresh. And I wasn't just getting a divorce, I was moving on. It wasn't long before Elena showed up at my door. The nerve. She stood there, with her sunglasses perched on her head and a look of desperation in her eyes, like she hadn't just messed up everything. She was a mess, frantically apologizing, trying to act like everything could go back to normal. I was stupid, Lucas, she said, her voice cracking. I should have never gone to Italy. Ryan, he tricked me, and I didn't think it would go this far. Please, I'm sorry. I looked at her, shaking my head. No. This isn't about you being sorry anymore. This is about you choosing him over me. And you're too late. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go back to a life where I was constantly questioning her loyalty. I was done. As I watched her stand there begging, it struck me, I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just free. Please go, Elena, I said calmly. We're done. As I closed the door behind her, I didn't feel any sense of victory. Not in a way I expected. I felt light. Like I could finally breathe again without feeling the weight of her betrayal. And as I turned back to Clara, who had been watching the whole thing from the kitchen, I realized something. This was just the beginning. A week after Elena's emotional exit from my life, things started to fall into place. The divorce was officially in the works, and I was settling into a routine where I didn't have to pretend to be happy anymore. I didn't have to make excuses for her or second-guess everything she did. And for the first time in what felt like years, I could finally think about me, about the life I wanted. And Clara? Well, Clara and I were moving at our own pace, but something about her felt right. There was no rush, no pressure. We didn't have to put a label on it. We were just two people who found solace in each other's company, and it felt natural. We spent more time together after the trip to Paris. Clara would drop by my place after work, and we'd order pizza, watch bad movies, and just talk. Sometimes, we'd go for walks, letting the city carry us as we joked about everything and nothing. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And after all the fake smiles I'd been giving Elena, real felt damn good. The days seemed to blur together. I was working on getting my plumbing business back on track after everything that happened with Elena. Running a business wasn't easy, but it was something that gave me focus. And I could already tell things were starting to improve, even if only a little. I had a new mindset now. No more waiting around. Clara was there through all of it. She helped me move past the heaviness of my past life. One evening, Clara came over, looking as beautiful as ever in her casual outfit, jeans and a loose sweater. There was something so comforting about her. She wasn't just easy to be around. She understood my need for space, my need to process things without constant pressure. She gave me room to breathe, but also kept me grounded. She was the kind of person who didn't need to say a lot to make you feel better. "Hey," she said, handing me a small box. "I got you something. It's nothing huge. Just a little reminder that you deserve good things." I looked at the box, confused but smiling. "What's this?" She shrugged, her lips curling into that teasing grin she always wore when she knew something I didn't. I opened the box, and inside was a small framed picture of me and Maria from the Paris trip. The two of us laughing on a roller coaster. "I know things are still kind of crazy for you. And I know it's been a rough few months," Clara said softly, "but I want you to remember there's more to life than just the past. You've got Maria, your business, and now, me." I felt my heart soften. It was simple, but it meant everything. I didn't want to be stuck in the past anymore. I didn't want to keep reliving every fight with Elena or imagining what could have been if she hadn't betrayed me. I was moving forward. A couple of weeks later, I got a text from Abby. Apparently, Ryan's marriage was on the rocks after everything that happened with Elena. I wasn't surprised. Guys like Ryan don't change. The moment they get caught up in their lies, it all falls apart. Abby had kicked him out. And while I didn't feel sorry for him, he'd made his own bed, I couldn't help but feel a little vindicated. Elena had thrown everything away for a man who didn't care about her, only to be tossed aside when she wasn't useful anymore. I told Abby I was sorry to hear what happened, but that I couldn't be involved in the drama. I'd moved on. The best thing I could do for my peace of mind was to keep walking away from it all. As for Elena, she tried to call me a couple more times, leaving voicemails that were a mix of apology and guilt. I deleted every message without listening to them. I wasn't interested. She made her choice. And I wasn't going to be some rebound after she realized Ryan wasn't going to pick up the pieces. The last message I ever got from her was a text. "I still love you, Lucas. I know I messed up, but I'll always regret how I hurt you. I'm sorry." I didn't respond. There was no need to. I'd already said everything I needed to say. And now, I was building something new with Clara. One day, about a month after the whole mess with Elena, Clara and I had a serious conversation. We were sitting on my couch, just talking about life, when she looked at me and asked, "Where do you see this going, Lucas? I know we haven't really talked about it, but I want to know. Are we just enjoying this, or are you thinking about something more?" I was quiet for a moment. The question surprised me, but I couldn't lie. I wanted more. I didn't want to rush into anything, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could actually build something meaningful. I didn't have to settle for someone who had betrayed me or constantly put me second. I wanted someone who had my back, someone who understood the value of honesty. "I think I want more, Clara," I said, my voice steady but sincere. "I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to keep moving forward with you." She smiled, a soft, genuine smile, and for the first time in months, I felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. A few months after that, things with Clara were better than I could have imagined. We started talking about the future more seriously, and I knew I wanted her in my life. I didn't need Elena or Ryan to define my happiness. I'd found it in the most unexpected place, a fresh start with someone who truly cared about me. We talked about getting married someday. And who knows? Maybe there'd be a little one on the way down the road. But for now, I was focusing on the here and now, the present. As for Elena, Well, she eventually found someone else, though I'm sure Ryan's wreckage still looms over her. But that's not my problem anymore. The only thing that matters now is the family I'm building with Clara and the peace I've finally found. I guess revenge is a funny thing. It doesn't always look like what you think it will. Sometimes, it's just about living well. And trust me, I'm living better than I ever thought possible. It's been a year since that whole mess with Elena went down. A year of growth, of change, and honestly, a year of rediscovery. I've learned more about myself, what I truly want, and how little I need to settle for less than I deserve. And as much as I thought I'd never get here, I'm finally in a place where I can say, I'm happy. Clara and I are still going strong. No rush, no pressure. But I'll admit, the thought of spending the rest of my life with her is starting to feel like a real possibility. She's been amazing, not just as a partner but as a person. She understands my need for space, but is always there when I need her. She's been supportive, kind, and patient with me as I've worked through the remnants of my past with Elena. And Maria? She adores Clara. It's like they've known each other for years, and I'm grateful for that. Clara's been a positive influence in Maria's life, and I can see how much she cares for her. It's different from what I had with Elena, but I'm beginning to realize that different isn't always bad. The divorce was finalized a few months ago, and it felt like a weight was finally lifted off my shoulders. I'm not bitter about it anymore. I've accepted what happened, what I was blind to, and the lessons I've learned along the way. It was a chapter one had to close, and I'm at peace with it. Every now and then, Elena pops up in my mind, but it's never for long. I don't miss her. I miss what I thought we had, but I don't miss her. She's with someone else now, someone who doesn't mind being second in her life, I guess. I don't care enough to follow it closely, but I know she's trying to rebuild. I hope it works out for her. In some ways, I think she might need it. But, I'm not the one who's going to fix that. I'm done being the guy who sticks around for people who don't appreciate him. I'm done giving chances to the people who didn't deserve them. As for me and Clara, well, we're talking about the future. Moving in together is something we've started considering seriously. I never thought I'd be thinking about that again so soon, but Clara makes it easy. She's become my best friend, and there's something comforting about having someone by your side who isn't trying to make up for past mistakes. They're just there, enjoying the present. We're starting to talk about things like maybe getting married, and it feels right. I've been thinking about proposing. I'm not sure when exactly. I want it to be perfect, but honestly, I'm just waiting for the right moment, the one where it feels like no time was wasted. Clara is my right moment. I remember one night, not too long ago, when Clara and I were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, when she turned to me and said, "You've come a long way, Lucas. I'm proud of you." It hit me harder than I expected. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear those words from someone who wasn't family, who wasn't obligated to love me. But Clara? She saw me, truly saw me. And I could see the same in her eyes. I looked back at her, smiled, and said, "We've come a long way. Both of us." We didn't need to say more. We both knew what that meant. So here I am. A year out from the mess that was my marriage to Elena. I'm still running my plumbing business, still making progress, but this time, I'm doing it for myself. I'm not working to fix someone else's happiness or living in a house of broken promises. I'm working to build my own future. And that future? It's bright. It's uncertain, but it's mine. I've come to realize that revenge isn't always about ruining someone else's life. Sometimes, it's about fixing your own. And the best revenge? It's living well. A few more months have passed since I last wrote. Life's been good, hell, it's been better than I ever expected. Clara and I are still strong, Maria's been thriving, and I'm finally feeling like the man I always wanted to be, the one who chooses himself first. But with all the growth, there's still that next step I've been thinking about. The one that feels like the real beginning of the rest of my life. Clara and I had been casually talking about our future, you know, the what-ifs and maybes. But one evening, as we sat on the couch, I realized something. It wasn't just about the future, it was about this moment, right here, right now. It was about making a promise to us. She was sitting there, her legs tucked under her, a glass of wine in hand as we were laughing at some ridiculous thing Maria had said that morning. The whole thing was just so peaceful. So right. And it hit me then. I didn't want to wait any longer. I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to do it. I turned to Clara, feeling the weight of everything that had led me to this point. The pain, the lessons, the rebuilding. She was the one who'd helped me do all that. She was the one who'd supported me, seen me at my lowest, and still chose to be there. Clara, I said, my voice quieter than usual. There's something I've been thinking about for a while now. She looked up from her wine glass, her eyes soft but curious. What's up? I swallowed, trying to steady my nerves. It wasn't like I was nervous about her saying yes, I was nervous about making it real. About asking her to take this big step with me. I love you, I said simply, meaning it more than I'd ever meant anything. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Not just the good days, but all of them. Her face softened. The air between us seemed to hold its breath as she waited for me to go on. Clara, will you marry me? She blinked, her hand tightening around the wine glass, but her face broke into that smile I'd come to love. Are you serious? I nodded, a little laugh escaping me at how she looked, half in shock and half in joy. I hadn't even gotten down on one knee, nothing fancy like that. I didn't need it. I wasn't going for the perfect proposal, I was going for the real one. I'm serious, I said, feeling like everything was finally coming together. Her smile grew wider. She laughed, half in disbelief, half in happiness. Of course I will, she said, and then she was kissing me, pulling me closer. The weight of everything that had happened before seemed to melt away in that one moment, and all that was left was this. We spent the rest of the evening talking about how it would look, what we wanted, but really? It didn't matter. What mattered was that we were here together. The rest was just details. A week later, I did it properly. We went out to a quiet little restaurant we discovered on our first date. The food was great, the wine better, but it was the look in Clara's eyes as I slipped a ring onto her finger that made the night unforgettable. I can't believe this is happening, she whispered, looking at the ring, then back at me, as though she couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. I can, I said, taking her hand. Because this time, I'm not waiting for someone else's approval. I'm choosing us. And that's how it felt, like I was choosing us. Not just her choosing me, or me choosing her, but us, choosing each other every day. Planning the wedding isn't exactly what I imagined, but then again, I never thought I'd be in this place at all. We've been keeping it simple, nothing too big or extravagant. It's just us, our families, and a few close friends. A small gathering, but it's all I need. Sometimes, when I sit back and think about everything that led me here, it feels surreal. The pain, the betrayal, the mess with Elena, it all feels so distant now, like someone else's story. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful for Clara, for Maria, and for everything I've built from the wreckage of my past. But the thing that's different now? I'm not running from my past anymore. I'm standing here, at the edge of the future, ready to embrace it. Ready for what comes next. Together. It's funny how life comes full circle sometimes. You think you have everything figured out, and then suddenly, things start shifting in ways you didn't expect. For me, this past year has been nothing short of a whirlwind of change. Good change, but change nonetheless. The wedding is set. It's not some grand affair, but that's exactly how I wanted it. Clara and I decided we'd tie the knot in a small ceremony with just close family and friends. We're going to do it in the backyard of my place, with a couple of string lights, some music, and a lot of food. It's perfect. Real. We're not big on extravagance, but we are big on love. We both agreed that the most important thing was making it ours. No drama, no frills, just us. Maria's been over the moon about the wedding. She's been helping Clara with planning in her own little way, picking out flowers, making suggestions for the decorations, and even practicing walking down the aisle with her stuffed animals. It's adorable, really. She's been asking if she'll get to wear a big princess dress, and Clara, who's already taken to Maria like her own, has been gushing about how she'll look. Sometimes I catch them sitting together, just talking about silly things, and I can see it in Clara's eyes, the way she looks at Maria. It's not a stepmother look, it's the look of someone who genuinely loves a child who isn't even hers. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the way, Clara became not just my partner, but a mother figure to Maria. And seeing that bond grow stronger every day? It's a blessing. It's everything I've always wanted for Maria, someone who would love her like their own, without hesitation. It hasn't been all smooth sailing though. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, no matter how perfect things might seem. Just last month, Elena showed up again, of course. This time, she didn't come knocking at my door, but I heard from mutual acquaintances that she was going through a rough time. I knew exactly what that meant. She was having relationship problems. Nothing new there. But for some reason, she decided it was a good idea to reach out to me, not directly, but through a mutual friend, asking if I could talk to her. I'm not going to lie, I was tempted. Maybe it was a small part of me that wondered if she had really changed. Maybe it was my pride, wanting to hear her beg for forgiveness. But then I remembered why I was in this good place in the first place. I'd moved on. I'd finally moved on. Clara didn't know about this. I didn't want to bring it up and make her worry. But I knew deep down that if I even entertained the thought of speaking to Elena again, I'd be inviting chaos back into my life. And I wasn't about to risk that. I thought about it for a day or two, wondering if I should be the bigger person. But I realized that I was the bigger person. I had the life I wanted now. And I wasn't about to let anyone, least of all Elena, bring me back to a place where I was uncertain or hurting. So I did what I knew was best. I shut it down. I didn't respond, and I made a conscious decision to keep that part of my life where it belonged, in the past. As I'm writing this, Clara's sitting across from me, sorting out the guest list for the wedding. Maria is upstairs getting ready for bed, excited to show Clara the dress she picked out for the ceremony. Life is peaceful. It's calm. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not looking over my shoulder, wondering if something is about to come crashing down. I'm finally at peace. With myself. With Maria. With Clara. The day of the wedding finally arrived. Clara looked more beautiful than I could have ever imagined, standing there in a simple yet stunning white dress, with Maria right beside her as her flower girl. It was small. It was intimate. But it was ours. As I looked at Clara, holding Maria's hand as they walked down the aisle, I felt like everything had led to this moment. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, it all brought me to this. And for the first time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just thankful. Thankful that I didn't give up on love, on family, on building something real. Thankful that I had Clara by my side, and Maria, my daughter, finally getting the stability she needed. After the ceremony, we shared a quiet moment together, just the three of us, sitting in the backyard, surrounded by our closest family and friends. And for once, it felt like the world was right. It felt like the life I always wanted was finally, truly mine. I'll be honest. I don't know what the future holds for us. No one does. But whatever happens, I know I'm not alone. I've got Clara, Maria, and this new family we've built together. And whatever else life throws my way, I'm ready for it. Because now, I've got something real. And that's more than enough. It's been a few months since the wedding, and things just keep getting better. Clara and I are in sync like never before, and Maria is blossoming under the love and support she's getting. It's like we've all become this little unit, and it feels natural. Not forced. I've been thinking a lot about the future lately, and it's incredible how different everything looks now. Before, my world was full of confusion, pain, and betrayal. Now it's full of promise, laughter, and the kind of love I never thought I deserved. I remember a few weeks ago, Clara and I were sitting at dinner, just talking about random things, life, dreams, and what's next for us. She looked at me with that same soft smile I've come to love and said, "We're really doing this, huh?" I nodded, feeling the weight of it all in the best way. Yeah, we really are. That moment hit me hard. We've gone through so much, both of us. But here we were, in this peaceful, happy place, making our own future. As for Elena, I haven't heard from her since the last time she tried reaching out, and honestly, I don't expect to. She's living her own life now, and I've got mine. I've made my peace with everything that happened. I'm not the same guy I was when she first betrayed me. And for that, I'm grateful. I don't feel anger toward her anymore. I feel nothing. The best revenge? It was this. Moving forward. Letting go. It's not perfect, but then again, who wants perfect? I've got the things that matter, a partner who has my back, a daughter who is growing up strong and happy, and a future that's wide open. No more looking over my shoulder. No more second guessing. Just us. Moving forward. It's been about 6 months since I last wrote here, and life's still on track. Clara and I have officially settled into a rhythm that feels like home. Maria's in school now, thriving, and Clara and I have been talking more seriously about having another baby. It's crazy to think how far we've come. Sometimes, I just sit back and marvel at how much things have changed in such a short amount of time. We've started making plans for the future, getting a bigger house, talking about growing the family, things I never thought I'd be able to dream about after all the mess with Elena. I used to wonder if I'd ever be able to trust again, or if I'd end up alone after everything I went through. But now, I can't imagine my life without Clara by my side. One of the best things about this whole process has been how much Maria has warmed up to Clara. At first, there was some hesitation, especially with her being a little older and still processing the divorce. But now, Maria looks at Clara the same way she looks at me, like family. It's been incredible to watch their bond grow. Clara's patience, love, and understanding have made such a difference. And I'm just grateful. Grateful for the way Clara loves her like her own. The past is still there though. It's never fully gone. I'll always remember what Elena did, but it doesn't have the same sting it used to. I've moved on, and it's like the chapters of my life have finally been put in their rightful places. I don't think about revenge anymore. I don't need to. Living well is more than enough. Sometimes I look at Clara, or at Maria, and I realize, this is my real reward. This is the life I fought for. Not the petty stuff, not the betrayal or the anger. It's the quiet moments, the real love, the peace that comes from knowing you've built something solid, something that can't be broken by anyone else's actions. I don't know what's next, but for the first time, I'm not worried. Whatever comes our way, we'll face it together. And that's enough. A lot has happened over the past few months. The days keep passing by, and I keep finding myself amazed by how much I've grown, and how much my life has changed for the better. I used to think I'd never move past the anger, the hurt, the betrayal. But here I am, living a life I never imagined, and it feels right. Clara and I are stronger than ever. We've gotten more serious about the idea of starting a family. Clara's talked about her own dreams of having a child, and I've been thinking about how Maria would be as an older sister. She's already such a caring, loving girl, and I know she'd be great. It's surreal, honestly. To think that only a couple of years ago, I was stuck in a marriage that was falling apart, feeling like my life had no direction. Now, it's like I'm living in a completely different world, one where I'm in control, where love and stability are at the center. One of the things that makes this all so fulfilling is how Clara and I handle things together. It's not perfect, no relationship ever is, but the difference between this and my past is night and day. We communicate. We support each other. And most importantly, we've built a foundation that feels unshakable. That's something I never had with Elena. Sometimes, when I look at Clara, I think about how lucky I am to have found her after everything I went through. I didn't expect to find someone who understands me the way she does. But she does. We've talked more about what our life will look like in a few years, and it's exciting. I never thought I'd be the type of guy who'd plan for the future so freely. But with Clara, it just feels natural. We talk about where we want to live, what kind of life we want to build for Maria, and what we want for ourselves as a couple. As for Elena, she's been a ghost in my life for a while now. I've heard through mutual acquaintances that she's doing okay, but I don't really care to know the details. My life doesn't revolve around her anymore. It's about what's in front of me now, Clara Maria, the future we're building. I've let go. I've moved on, and that's enough. Every day is another step forward. Every new decision, every laugh, every quiet moment at home with Clara and Maria, these are the things I hold on to now. These are the things that matter. I don't need revenge anymore. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. My life is proof enough of the strength I've found within myself. And the best part? I get to share that strength, that love, with the people who truly matter. Life has settled into a beautiful rhythm. Clara Maria and I are finding joy in the little things. Family dinners, movie nights, weekend hikes. There's a peace I never thought I'd find, and it feels earned. Every day is a reminder of how far I've come. Clara and I have talked more seriously about having another child. It feels natural now. The idea of expanding our family, giving Maria a sibling, makes everything seem even more complete. I never thought I'd get here, but here we are. And I'm not scared. I'm excited. I don't think about Elena much anymore, and when I do, it's just a fleeting thought. She's no longer part of my world, and that's the way it should be. I've found peace, and that's enough. It's strange how life can turn out. I've learned that sometimes the best things come after the hardest times. The pain, the betrayal, the heartbreak, they were just parts of a much bigger story. And now, the story is mine. Clara Maria, and the life we're building together. This is everything I could have ever hoped for. Looking back, I still can't believe how far I've come. It feels like just yesterday that I was lost in the wreckage of my old life, hurt, angry, unsure if I'd ever get out. But here I am, a year or so after the wedding, standing taller than I ever thought possible. Clara and I are stronger than ever, and Maria? She's growing into an incredible young girl. We've been talking more about the future, where we want to live, how we want to raise the next generation, and the adventures we want to take. There's so much to look forward to, and for the first time in a long while, I don't have any doubts. I'm not haunted by the past anymore. The pain from Elena and everything she did, it's there, but it's in the past where it belongs. I found something real now, and it's all about this moment, this family, this life we're building. Life's not perfect, but it's the kind of good I never thought I'd get to experience. Clara and I make each other better, and watching Maria grow in this environment, surrounded by love, stability, and laughter, it feels like the best thing I could give her. I guess the real lesson here is that sometimes, you have to lose everything to gain everything. And though I never saw it coming, this life, this love, it's better than anything I ever imagined. So here we are, living fully. Embracing the future together. Things are good. No, scratch that, things are great. Clara Maria and I are living a life I used to dream about when I was stuck in the pain of the past. Every day feels like a new chapter, but it's not just about getting by anymore. It's about thriving. We've been busy with the usual, work, family, trying to balance it all, but there's a lightness to it now. I'm not weighed down by anger or regret. I'm here in the moment, focused on the future. Clara and I have been discussing the idea of moving to a bigger house. The space we're in now is cozy, but with a second kid possibly on the way, it feels like it's time to start thinking about what's next. The idea of having a home where we can all grow together is exciting, and I can already picture the new memories we'll make there. Maria's doing amazing. She's thriving at school and has really bonded with Clara in ways I didn't think possible. Watching them interact, I'm in awe of how seamlessly they've connected. Maria looks up to Clara like she's her other mom, and that bond means the world to me. There's still the occasional thought about Elena, but it's so distant now. She's not part of my life anymore, and I'm at peace with that. I know she's still out there, doing whatever she's doing, but I'm not concerned. I've created something new, and that's what matters. So here we are. A family, a future, and a life I can finally say I'm proud of. No more looking back, no more wondering if I made the right decisions. Because right now, this is the life I've built. And it's everything I ever wanted. Life's been good. Really good. Clara Maria and I are stronger than ever. I still catch myself marveling at how everything fell into place. After everything I went through, after the pain, the doubts, and the heartache, I found a real family. Clara and I have decided to move into a new house. Nothing extravagant, just a bigger space where we can grow, where Maria and a new little one, hopefully, can have room to run and make memories. We've been looking at places, and it's exciting to think about how this next phase of our lives will look. Maria's doing great. She's a different kid now, thriving in ways I didn't expect. I always thought I'd be the one shaping her world, but watching her blossom under the love and stability Clara has helped create, it's humbling. And it makes me proud to know I gave her a foundation to grow from, a place where she's loved and safe. As for Elena, I'm not sure what she's up to, and frankly, I don't care. It's been a while since I thought about her. That chapter of my life is closed. I'm here now, in this new chapter, surrounded by the people who matter, who choose me. The best part? I've stopped questioning if I deserve this happiness. I do. I've worked hard to get here, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Clara Maria, the life we're building, this is the real reward. The future's wide open. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid of what's ahead. We'll take it one day at a time together.